NFL free agency is about to kick off, which means a bunch of fantasy relevant players are about to change teams. And today, myself, Sam, and Ryan are playing the role of the fantasy football gods, choosing our dream landing spot for some of the top names to enter the open market. So, Sam, let's start with you. You are the matchmaker. Which team and player are you pairing up this offseason?
Well, it's kind of ironic because with the amount of running backs that are coming out in this draft class, I'm just not really infatuated with a lot of the free agent wide receivers. I think some of them, I can sit here and wax poetic about Stephon Diggs ending up on the Chiefs or, whatever. But I'm more interested in some running backs. And I think a great fit is going to be Najee Harris. He doesn't have that breakaway speed, but he's a game control running back, always gets positive yardage, runs hard. And I think that is the type of guy that Jim Harbaugh would value in Los Angeles. Yeah. J.K. Dobbins, also a free agent, and still missed some time this year. He's, after being gone for however long, he was a great story and everything. But I think they need a little more reliability back there. And I think Najee Harris could bring that to them.
Sure. You don't think it's going to be a run back with Gus Edwards?
What's that?
You don't think they're going to run it back with Gus Edwards?
I mean, but maybe Gus Edwards will still be there and JK won't. Who knows?
Well, no, I like the fit. Jim Harbaugh just seems like he and Najee Harris are like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And Najee, sure. While he's kind of, he's not the most efficient running back. He's not the sexiest running back. He's had 1,000 yards every year, I believe.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where you just, even from a fantasy standpoint, you just don't feel like he's very good. And then you go back and look at his stats over his career and you're like, man, but he's really consistent. You know what I mean? Yeah. And frankly, I'd like to get him out of my division.
You know what's crazy? Najee Harris's rookie season, his quarterback was Ben Roethlisberger. That seems like that was forever ago.
Yeah, he was getting targeted like hell out of the backfield.
Yeah,
those days are far behind us, but
yeah,
it was a show for a little bit there for Najee.
All right, well, that would be a fun fit. Ryan, what you got?
What's going on? Look, so I'm going Sam Darnold to the Raiders. Not going to build it up. I think that's like a solid fit. Look, the way it makes sense. They're talking in these mock drafts that one of these quarterbacks are going to slide and the Raiders are going to get one at 8, but that, when it comes to draft day, is never the case. There's always going to be a team that jumps up for one. The Jets right behind them. You need a quarterback, can jump the Raiders, and I still think the Giants, Browns, and Titans all can drop the quarterback there. So I think Sam Darnold makes a whole lot of sense going to Oakland. He's going to come into Brock Bowers, and if they stay at that 8 spot, they can go Tet as a receiving option and have Tet and Jacoby Myers run the wide receiver spots there. But I think it would be a great fit for Brock Bowers owners and Darnold owners. Plus, with Pete Carroll being there with the new head coach, I don't really see them going like the prospect route because Pete Carroll is 73 years old. I don't see them trying to like develop a quarterback here. So I think they're going to end up going with the vet, and the best out there is Sam Darnold, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. That seems like a pretty good fit, and it's just begging. It's begging for Darnold to revert to the Darnold that we thought we knew before, just because he goes to the Raiders.
100%.
And anybody that goes to the Raiders goes there to die.
It's true.
But I tell you what, if anybody could kind of flip that script, I think it would be Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, killer season last year.
Yeah, he'll be out there. He'll just pepper Brock Bowers. Just throw it to Brock Bowers. That's all you got to tell him. Just sit in the huddle. Just throw it to Brock Bowers, and we'll be fine.
Yeah,
it'll be all right. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Sam Darnold's teammate from 2024. I want Aaron Jones to go to Denver. Now, Aaron Jones, it was great to see he had a bounce back season after a down year in Green Bay. He played all 18 games, including the playoffs with the Vikings, and he set career highs in carries and rushing yards. He ranked top 10 among running backs in receptions and receiving yards as well. Now, he is 30 years old, but he's still one of the NFL's most versatile running backs. And there have been rumblings already that the Broncos are interested in bringing in Aaron Jones in free agency. Now, their situation, they got Javonte Williams. He's kind of underwhelmed since his knee injury a couple of years ago, and he's also a free agent. There's no way he's coming back. No. And even if he does, he's like second or third on the depth chart. He's not going to come back as the starter. So the Broncos would give Aaron Jones, a starting job on a good team with an ascending offense and an exciting young quarterback. He could be the Alvin Kamara in the Sean Payton offense. And Sean Payton, over the last couple of weeks, he's been making it known he's actively searching for that versatile player like Aaron Jones this offseason. He calls them his joker, which he defines as either a running back or a tight end who is elite in pass catching and create mismatches. That sounds like Aaron Jones, or at least prime Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, he can be that receiving weapon out of the backfield, much like we saw with Alvin Kamara with Sean Payton in New Orleans, and something that he's lacked so far in Denver. Aaron Jones, he gave us, 5 seasons, I believe, with more than 45 receptions. And we know Bo Nix liked throwing to his running back, Bucky Irving at Oregon. Yeah. So that's a match made in heaven as well. If Jones gets that Kamara usage, he could be like an RB1 in fantasy football, even if the team signs or drafts a running back to share the early downs work with him. I think it would be enough in the passing game. He's explosive. He's still got that explosiveness. Take some of the workload off his plate early downs. Let him be that receiving weapon. He'll be a big-time producer for us in fantasy football. Now, Over the Cap projects a $9.2 million annual valuation for Aaron Jones. He signed a $7 million deal last year, so I think he's going to get a little bit of a raise. And the Broncos, they have about $41 million in cap space, so they can definitely get that done. It could be another 1-year deal for Aaron Jones. He'll be that RB1 in Denver, that joker for Sean Payton. It'll be a ton of fun to watch, and will provide a bunch of fantasy points for our teams. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think the only sticking point there is I just find it really hard to believe that Minnesota will let Aaron Jones walk away. I think they're going to try like hell to keep him, whether it takes a little bit of contract finagling with the cap, but we just saw the cap space went up to a record high. Which I love how they always say it's a record high, like it isn't every year, except
right, like it's going to go down,
except for like right after COVID. I'd be, if they can pry him away from Minnesota, that'd be a great spot for him to go. I don't know how Minnesota's going to let him walk out that door.
Now, in an ideal world, I think his best fit would be in Minnesota, but that's not the game we're playing here. So
yeah.
I would love to see him in Denver.
Yeah, I think it's great. The only concern I have, and you adjust, is the rookie running back that they probably would, I would imagine, bring in. But
he's an older
back. He probably needs a little bit of relief.
Yeah, and if they really lean into that receiving work for him, I think he'd be fine as far as fantasy football goes. I mean, we saw Rachaad White the first half of the season last year. He was splitting carries with Bucky Irving. He was the receiving guy. He still was productive. Austin Eckler, same thing. So we've seen that work before. I mean, we saw it, Kamara and Mark Ingram back in the day. Both were high-end running backs. I think maybe we could get that in Denver. The sending offense, good quarterback. See what happens. Sam, what do you got? Who's your second free agent team pairing?
You almost made me want to switch to send somebody to Minnesota if Aaron Jones is gone. I've got kind of an odd one. I really, really feel like the Giants need to make a move at running back. Tyrone Tracy showed that he can carry He can carry for a whole season, but I don't think that's in his wheelhouse. I think he's going to be best splitting the backfield with somebody. And I think that is, first of all, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. It could be Javonte Williams, who also would be okay with splitting the backfield carries. But I'm looking at J.K. Dobbins from L.A., making the cross-country trip to the Big Apple. And because he carried the ball 199 yards last year, I think that's probably going to be his max for the next several years that he plays, even if he remains healthy. They're not going to give him the ball any more than that. So, something of that situation where it's, J.K. Dobbins and Tyrone Tracy splitting carries would be, I think, ideal for them. The only sticking point being the dead cap for Devin Singletary is huge. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. I mean, are they just going to eat the money and cut him? Are they going to keep him around? Are they going to not make a move and try to integrate him in with Tracy? That part, I don't know. I think they were foolish to give him that much money to begin with. So I guess they made their bed.
As a Giants fan, I can tell you right now, they're going to eat it, and they're going to keep him on for the season. I mean, you saw that last year with Daniel Jones. So we'll keep him on the roster. I don't know if he'll be used, but he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And we saw off-season Hard Knocks last year. We saw the pain from the owner. What's his name? John Mara.
Yeah.
Letting Saquon Barkley go, and then watching the results of it. John Mara is going to insist that they invest in the running back position some way, somehow. I don't care if it even makes sense for the team at this point. Running back should be low on the priority list. Tyrone Tracy, I think he showed us enough to at least give him a chance in the second year. But I believe because of John Mara and what happened with Saquon, running back is like a top 3 priority for that team this year in their minds. And
I don't think Tyrone Tracy's going to revert to like a third down back or a gadget player. I just think it's going to be like a 50-50 situation or ride the hot hand.
As someone who drafted a lot of Tyrone Tracy in Dynasty rookie drafts last year, I hope this does not happen. But
so the Giants hold him for another season. We need tons of other pieces, if I'm honest. But yeah.
Didn't John Mara even say something like, if Saquon goes to the Eagles, I'm going to be sick?
He did, yeah. Not only did he go to the Eagles, he ran for about 2,000 yards.
If I was John Mara, I'd fired everybody right off the bat. I'd have been like, you fail.
Most rushing yards in a season, if you include playoffs. He won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia. He was an MVP candidate. That guy was
highlight reel with backwards jumps over defenders.
By December, John Mara was spending his Sundays in a dark room.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, who is your second free agent?
Second free agent, we're actually going to stay in L.A. Where he sent Najee Harris. I'm sending Amari Cooper.
Ooh.
Look, he's I know he's coming off a rough season. He had under 600 yards, but you look at it, he's still a great pass catcher. He has over 10,000 receiving yards, over 60 touchdowns. He had a career high in yards in 2023 with 1250, I think, which is, he's still got some juice in him, right? And he's not going to be exactly asked to be the number one. I think Vlad is going to get most of the targets for the team. But for him to stay on the outside and have those two complement each other, I think it would work great for that team. Plus, he doesn't have to play phenomenal. He's playing against who's there? You got Quentin Johnson, who's rough. Josh Palmer. There's just a bunch of guys there that are kind of just hanging around for no reason.
DJ Chark.
Yeah, he's a free agent, though, so he's gone.
Oh, okay.
So's Palmer, thankfully.
Oh, Palmer is too? Wow. So, yeah, I think
so
the
he can
Chargers
fit
look to
right
add
into that
somebody,
role.
and he's also going to come pretty cheap on probably like a prove-it deal, and if it works out,
Oh yeah,
bring him back in.
yeah. He was very disappointing in Buffalo last year.
He was.
I thought he had some injuries though, right?
No, he just kind of struggled to get into the system. I think once he got traded, I mean, before that, he was still getting 8 targets a game, but once he made that transition to the Bills, went downhill.
Yeah, I thought him and Josh Allen were just gonna connect, and that just never happened.
Yeah, I think he had trouble with the system, and that's the only reason I think that the Bills might try to keep him there. But the Bills showed that they don't care. Like it doesn't matter. And everybody that we thought was going to do great last year, like Kincaid, didn't. And look, they were still in the AFC Championship game. So, it is what it is. But I think they should try to give him another go round, because you're right, Ryan. I mean, he's a good player. And he's a good veteran presence, and I think as long as he's got the system down, he can be counted on.
He's one of those wide receivers who his style of play tends to age well. So even though he's getting into his 30s now, he's always been like the smooth route runner. His separation has come naturally for him. So even as his athleticism dwindles a little bit, I think he's a guy who's still going to be effective. Maybe even move him into a big slot role at some point.
Yeah, he's the low end of that style of receiver, like your Keenan Allens and your Stephon Diggs.
Sure.
And his one highlight from Buffalo, his first game. Remember, you see him look over to Keon Coleman. He doesn't know the play. And Keon Coleman gives him a little indication what the play was, and he scores a touchdown on it. That was pretty sweet. All right. I'm also going to stay in LA, but I'm going to go over to the LA Rams. Ooh. I'm going to add a wide receiver, and I'm going to add Chris Godwin. So obviously we know he's coming off that severe ankle injury that ended his 2024 season, but Chris Godwin is the top free agent wide receiver, assuming Bengals tag T. Higgins, which sounds like they're going to.
Yeah.
Now, the Bucs have said they want to keep Godwin as well. The two sides have been talking. They've already pushed his void date back a little bit so they can continue negotiations. But it doesn't sound like a deal is imminent at this point, and they can't franchise tag him. They've tagged him twice in his career so far, so it would cost a ton to do it. You would get like quarterback money if they did it. So the Bucs also have some cap issues, which could make getting Chris Godwin re-signed in time for free agency really difficult. So if he hits the open market, I believe the Los Angeles Rams would be a perfect fit for Chris Godwin. Now, they've already announced, or Cooper Kupp has announced for them, that they are going to be trading Cooper Kupp. They're going to be moving on from Cooper Kupp. So Godwin would slide perfectly right into that Cooper Kupp role. He does a lot of the same things, and he's 3 years younger. Now, the Rams just announced they are officially keeping Matthew Stafford at quarterback after some of those serious trade rumors. So with Stafford locked in at quarterback and Godwin, hopefully healthy in time for training camp, he could have a career year in that Rams offense, working the slot as like the 1A, 1B to Puka Nacua. And the Rams do need to add some wide receivers in the offseason. They're going to be moving on from Cooper Kupp, like we said, and kind of similar to what we just talked about with the Chargers, everybody else is a free agent. So only wide receivers they have under contract for 2025, assuming Kupp is gone, is Puka Nacua and Jordan Whittington. They've got Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, and Tyler Johnson all set to be free agents. So that opens the door for the Rams to pursue a guy like Chris Godwin, especially with them keeping Stafford around. They're going to stay in that win now mode for at least 1 to 2 more years. And Godwin was having such a great bounce back season in the first half of 2024. Really was. He was on pace for 150 targets, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. He was averaging 19.7 fantasy points per game. He looked completely back to his old self. He would be so fun with Stafford, Sean McVay in that Rams offense. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I love that one, honestly. It's a great pairing because you look at Godwin, who's kind of been in Mike Evans' shadow his whole career, and he still thrives as a receiver, and he's going to do the same exact thing with the Rams. He's going to go play alongside Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
And probably still be pretty damn productive.
Yeah, Puka will be that outside, down the field threat, like not like Mike Evans, but kind of, that big X guy and slot for Chris Godwin.
I think also it's it's one of those situations where a lot of people will probably say, well, is that really such a step up from Kupp? And it's only 2 years difference or 3 years difference in age, and Godwin's still 29. But I think it is still, because Kupp is showing that he's becoming more susceptible to injury. He's always got dings and stuff going on. So I think that's definitely kind of the right choice. By the way, did either one of you guys buy the fact that the Rams might let Stafford go somewhere else?
No.
I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought it was kind of just like a negotiation ploy. Let him find what his market value. I mean, he was really underpaid. He was making like $40 million a year.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
when
I
he
was
started
right.
meeting with Tom, when he ran into Tom Brady, I was getting a little nervous.
He lives in LA. He won a Super Bowl. He's gonna pick up his wife and his 4 kids and get shipped to Las Vegas or Cleveland.
Yeah. Here's where I kind of like knew he wasn't going anywhere, is when the asking price came up that they were asking around for a first round pick. Once I saw that, I was like,
he's
not going anywhere.
Right.
All right. Well, those are our dream free agent landing spots. Let us know yours in the comments, or you can also tell us why ours are stupid. And make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well.